They burned his city, looted his sacred art, declared his gods defeated. But when the empire demanded one final act of surrender, the king of Benin chose exile over submission. In February 1897, British forces launched what they called a punitive expedition against the Kingdom of Benin. It was not punishment, it was destruction. A force of over 1,000 men marched through the forests. They came in response to an earlier ambush on a British delegation, but what followed was no balanced reckoning. Palaces that had stood for centuries were set ablaze, ancient altars shattered, thousands of sacred Benin Bronzes, masterpieces of brass and ivory, were looted and shipped across the sea to Europe. The royal quarter, once a vast complex of carved coral pillars, gleaming courtyards, and intricate guilds, collapsed into smoke and ruin. And for centuries, the Kingdom of Benin had been a sovereign power. Its Oba was more than a king, he was divine, the living link between the people and the ancestors. To kneel before a foreign ruler was not just political defeat, it was to shatter the spiritual order of the world. But the British saw something else: trade routes, palm oil, rubber, and untapped power. Negotiations had failed. A treaty forced years earlier had been ignored, so they marched to impose their will. Benin City fell in fire and blood. Warriors fought fiercely but were overwhelmed. Many scattered into the forests. Chiefs were executed. Sacred spaces were desecrated. The British declared victory. Yet one thing remained unfinished: the capture of the Oba himself. Oba Ovonramwen Nogbaisi had escaped the burning city. With loyal followers, priests, and remnants of his court, he fled deep into the rainforest. Weeks turned to months. The British hunted him relentlessly, not merely as a fugitive, but as the last living symbol of Benin's unbroken sovereignty. As long as the Oba remained free, the kingdom was not fully conquered. Surrounded, exhausted, weakened by hunger and illness, the Oba faced an impossible choice: continue the fight and doom the loyal people still protecting him to slaughter, or surrender and preserve what fragile threads of life and culture remained. He chose surrender, but he did not bow. Historical accounts record the moment clearly. He refused to prostrate. He refused to kneel. He refused to address them as masters. He stood tall, still Oba, crowned by the ancestors, even in chains. The British exiled him to Calabar, far from his ancestral lands. A king without a palace, without a court, without the sacred drums that once echoed his authority, he lived there quietly until his death in 1914, accompanied by two of his wives. Yet those who encountered him in exile described a man who still carried himself with regal dignity, unbroken in spirit, if not in territory. Empires measure victory in land and loot. History remembers something deeper: the king who lost his throne, but never surrendered his dignity.